Good morning. So first reading, the Israelites are begging Samuel, come on, we want a king. We want to be like everybody else. We want to be like the rest of the world. And I don't think we've really matured very much beyond that. We do the same thing still today. We say, come on, we want to be more like the rest of the world. You know, church, be more like the world, right? Like let's look more like how everything secular looks in the church. Let's not have sacred music. Let's not have sacred art. Let's not have buildings that are transcendent and point to God. Let's make everything look like the world. Let's be like everyone else. Isn't that great? Oh, come on. Yeah. We want a king, right? Yeah. It's a terrible idea. But for whatever reason, our brokenness and our fallen nature, we're guilty of that desire to try to make everything similar to that which we know, right? It's like, well, what am I comfortable with? I'm comfortable with however things are in my life, or I'm comfortable with how things were when I was a kid, or I'm comfortable with how things were maybe in the last place that I lived before I moved, and I want to just kind of recreate what I had before right here. I want to recreate what I'm comfortable with. I want to recreate with what I know. And if there's anything beyond that, it really makes me kind of anxious, right? If I'm called to change, if I'm called to stretch, if I'm called to grow, if I'm called to conversion, if I'm called to do anything better, I say, no, I'd rather have a king that just tells me what to do. But then, of course, Samuel warns them. He says, yeah, okay, you're going to have a king that's going to tell you what to do, and guess what? You're not going to like what he tells you to do. Oh, yeah, okay, well, maybe if we just had a king, more like, the king that those people have, right? What, the Assyrians or the Persians, the ones that are going to come and, kill us? No, we don't want to be like them either. And so we look and we have to ask ourselves, who do we want to be like? Well, we want to be like the true king. We want to be like Jesus, right? We want to conform ourselves to Christ. We want to conform ourselves and do His will. Well, what's His will? It's to take up our cross daily and to follow after Him. Oh, well, that doesn't sound very good either, right? That, in fact, sounds more like slavery than having a king. But then we ask ourselves in our lives, what rules us? Who rules us? Right? Are there certain activities in our lives that rule us? Are there ideologies that rule us? Are there things that prevent us from doing God's will? Are there things that enslave us to this world? Are there things that are much higher priority for us? It always amazes me how angry, viscerally angry people get with Father Michael and I when we talk about sports. And we talk about how people make sports their God, right? And they arrange their whole life around it, whether it be their children's sports or whether it be their own, hobby of watching. I don't know why you would want to watch the Falcons, but if anybody wants to be their coach, there's an opening. Probably any of you could do better than anyone they've had in the last several years. Or whether it's golf. Can't upset that precious tea time, right? Like that sacred tea time. That Sunday morning tea time. That's the one, right? Sunday morning, I got to go play golf. I don't remember that in the commandments. Go play golf on Sunday morning. Got to get the early tea time, right? Oh, Father, gosh, I can't. Don't talk about that. Why? Why not talk about it? Because it makes me uncomfortable. That's why I don't want you to talk about it. Don't talk about things that make us uncomfortable, Father. Just talk about things that will make us feel good. Be like the other priests. Be like the priests that don't call us to conversion, or that don't challenge us, or that don't push us, or that don't try to make us be better. Be like the nice priests that just say platitudes. Right? Just as the Israelites are asking for their king so that they can be like everyone else, just as the Israelites are asking to be like the other nations, Samuel says, no, that's not good. That's not what you want. That's not going to be a good thing for you. Right? And so too for us. We are called to holiness. We are called to radical conversion. I don't care how old you are, how long you've been doing the Catholic thing. I know some of you have been doing it twice as long as I have, longer. I don't know, is anybody, what's 35 times 3? Is that 105? Is anyone 105 here? Bob says he feels like it. Okay, yeah. I don't care how long you've been practicing Catholicism, right? We can always do better. We can always grow in holiness. We can always grow in our relationship with Christ. The one who says, oh, you think forgiving sins is a big deal? I'm going to tell the paralytic to get up and walk, right? If we see that and we're not amazed, we're not like, something's got to change. I want to know more about that guy. I want to follow that guy. I want to be like him. If we don't have that reaction, we're not paying attention. And something needs to happen. Something needs to happen in our lives where we're hit over the head and we're like, oh, okay, that's what I got to do. Sometimes God calls us to do things that are really hard that we don't want to do. Sometimes God calls us to do things that we think are impossible. Sometimes God calls us to do things that we think are going to ruin our lives. Like, if I do that, then I'm going to lose friends. If I do that, something bad's going to happen. If I do that, I'm going to be sad. If I do that, I'm not going to have any fun. And God says to us, no, do that, I promise. I promise you'll be fine. I promise if you just take that one step, you'll be perfectly fine. In fact, you'll be better. You'll be better than you are now. You'll be better than you can even possibly imagine. But in our stubbornness and our weakness and our brokenness, we say, no, I want to be like the other people, right? I want to be like the people that I see in the world. I want to be like the people that I see at the store. I want to be like the people that I see at the club. I want to be like the people that I see in the restaurants. I want to be like everyone else. No, I want to be like Jesus. I want to have a radical change in my life, that I can say yes to his will, that I can do that thing which is to me seemingly impossible, so that I can say yes to do the will of God. If we do that, and other people see it, they might think we're crazy. Or better yet, they'll look and they'll say, if that person can do it, so can I. And the world will grow. Right, the world won't grow. What am I trying to say? The church will grow. Faith will grow. Faith will increase. We live in a very different time from any other time in the church. We live in an apostolic time. We're called to go out into the world. We're called to go out into the world and to proclaim the gospel to people that don't know the gospel, or people that think they know the gospel but don't really know it. People that, I've heard the gospel. I grew up Catholic. Yeah, but did you really hear it? Did you hear the part where he not only forgave the guy's sins, but then so that everybody knew that he was God and had the power to do that, he told him, you're no longer paralyzed, get up and walk? Did you hear that part? Because if you did, and you didn't just think of it as some nice story, something's got to change. So in our own lives, let us continue to ask the Lord that he would put that desire in our heart to know him, to love him, to serve him, to follow him, to do his will, so that indeed we may always be committed to him. We may not desire what the world desires. We may not desire that which everyone else does, but rather we may desire eternal life.